This is the Apple iPad Pro versus the Xiaomi Pad 6, a $1,300 tablet versus less than $300 tablet from Xiaomi. And can the cheaper tablet come even close to the iPad Pro? First things first, the Apple is the 13-inch model with the M4 chip inside, and the Xiaomi is the 11-inch model with the Snapdragon 870. Both screens are really nice to look at. Apple iPad Pro has the OLED Ultra Retina versus the Xiaomi LCD IPS display. This means that the Apple iPad Pro will have better colors, but I'm gonna have to say that the Xiaomi's colors are not bad at all, and it's a really good LCD panel. But I'm gonna have to give the edge to the iPad Pro because the colors here and overall the screen is really good. Also, it's a different format. Apple is in 4:3, while the Xiaomi is in 8:5. And one really cool thing is actually the Xiaomi has more pixel per inch, which in theory should mean that everything is sharper, but the Ultra Retina display on the Apple, it really is so sharp, so you cannot really distinguish if there is a difference. And trust me, the Apple screen is amazing. So while they're not really far apart, I have to give the edge to the Apple iPad Pro. But I have to say it's like 80 or 90% of the experience on the Xiaomi Pad 6. And also to the screens, the Apple screen definitely is the brighter, and its max brightness is even higher, so you can use it even in really bright situations. There's gonna be no problem for you to use it, while the Xiaomi is gonna be not as bright, and because it's not an OLED and also not the brightest, it's gonna be a little bit worse in like the outdoor situations. It's good for everyday usage, but the panel on the Apple Pro is definitely way better. But moving on to the processors, because the iPad Pro has a M4 chip, which is an incredible chip that you would find on a laptop, while the Xiaomi has an older flagship model, which is the Snapdragon 870. And for daily tasks, I'm gonna have to say that the Snapdragon is more than enough, even in mid-2024. But I have to give the edge to the Apple M4 chip because this is one beast of a chip that you can literally use for video editing, photo editing, playing video games at better resolution and frame rates. You can even play games like the Assassin's Creed Mirage on the iPad Pro with the M4 chip. While on the Xiaomi Pad 6, well, it's gonna be great for everyday use, reading the news, using social media, even making short form content, editing photos, but it's not gonna be as strong as the iPad Pro. But you can still play games at a nice, respectable frame rates and resolution. It's kind of like a laptop chip versus a smartphone chip, and that not even being the newest and greatest. Essentially, you're gonna have better performance with the Apple, but for this price, you cannot go wrong with the Xiaomi Pad 6. And both of these models have 8 GB of RAM. But I think in this case, the chip is gonna make the whole difference here. Once again, I'm gonna have to give the edge to Apple for being the better and just a beast of a device. But for the price, I'm gonna have to say for everyday usage, and if you're not a real power user of the iPad Pro, and maybe using it more like a secondary device to your laptop or computer, I'm gonna have to say that Xiaomi Pad 6 is once again about 80-90% off iPad Pro. So if this trend continues, it's gonna be shocking because the price difference is really big. So let's go over the speakers, because both those models have 4 speakers on the sides, meaning that we have 2 on the top and 2 on the bottom, or left and right if you're in horizontal mode. I would say both are great, and I'm really shocked with how good Xiaomi's speakers are, specifically for this price range. They're really premium. It also supports Dolby Vision for the screen and Atmos for the speakers, so the quality is really good. But Apple's are the better sounding of the two. They can definitely get louder. They have a better bass that you can literally feel underneath your finger when holding the tablet. And also they're just a little bit more clear. So overall, I would say it's once again the experience of 80% for the Xiaomi. It isn't as good, and you cannot feel the bass or clarity as good. It's not as loud as the iPad Pro. iPad Pro is like the top of the top once again in like the quality of the materials and the features. Well, this is once again like 75-80% of the experience from the iPad Pro. So if you're in a budget, the Xiaomi Pad 6 is really getting close to the iPad Pro. One thing that is not a selling feature of the tablets are the cameras. And as you can see, they aren't really big, there aren't really too many of them, and most importantly, they both have one main sensor. But one thing that the Apple has is the 3D scanner, essentially letting you 3D scan things, even showing you how big your room is, for example. You can scan it and move along and see in real time the scale and length and all of that kind of things. It's really cool that it has it, the LiDAR system. And the Xiaomi has a 13 megapixel camera, and that will be about it in terms of cameras. I would say they're pretty much both okay. Apple's is gonna be better, but I would say both of them are nothing to write home about. And one more thing that the Apple can do is actually record in Apple ProRes, which is a nice addition to a camera that isn't a main selling feature. And because of its performance, you can actually edit that footage later in maybe DaVinci Resolve or Final Cut on the iPad Pro. While the Xiaomi is definitely not a tablet I would like to edit on, since it's not going to be as close in performance. You can definitely do some short editing work on it if needed. There is also a difference in terms of the batteries. The Apple Pro has 10,340 milliamp battery, while the Xiaomi has 8,800 milliamps. But because this has a bigger screen, better performance, it can eat up the battery a lot. So I would say it's really hard to tell which one is better in like longevity, because I feel like both of these tablets I can get through even with just taking notes in a couple of hours. So I wouldn't say they're beasts of a tablet in terms of battery, but for everyday usage, maybe reading the news, I guess both of them are more than enough. And they're pretty big, but you have to remember bigger screens take a lot more battery. So while they do have more battery than a smartphone, they have much larger screens, and in this case, even a better processor. One thing that is surprising, the Xiaomi has a 33-watt charger, which means it's faster than the Apple Pro, which can charge up to 30 watts. So in a way, this is not only smaller, but also with a faster charger, meaning that the Xiaomi should charge to 100% quicker than the Apple Pro. And depending on the usage, it could last longer or shorter depending on how you're gonna use it. And last but not least, maybe even most important, this Apple iPad Pro runs on the iOS 17, while the Xiaomi Pad 6 works on HyperOS, which is working on Android 14. This could be a make or break for your experience. If, for example, you're using Android phone and a Windows-based PC, then the Android tablet is gonna definitely work great for you. Better yet, if you have an Xiaomi smartphone, which is gonna be a really nice addition to the tablet. But if you're using Apple products and you're in the ecosystem, you have a phone from Apple, the iPhone Pro Max, for example, and an Apple laptop, then I would say the Apple iPad Pro is a must, because there is just so much better connectivity because of the ecosystem. So it's really a case-by-case scenario, depending if you have other devices in the ecosystems. But if you're just looking straight on for getting a tablet and you don't really use anything else, I would say it really won't matter too much, other than iOS being a little bit smoother, just overall a really big pleasure to use. It's a little bit more of a closed ecosystem, but the apps that are here work great with the devices, where on Android, sometimes you have much more flexibility with your device, with customization and overall having more different apps. But sometimes the apps that are here are not available on Android and vice versa, but usually the iPad has something that I cannot find on Android, but you can find some kind of alternatives. And also the apps might not work as nicely as on the iPad Pro. So it's like a trade-off. And even the accessories are really similar. For example, this is the Apple Pencil Pro, and this is the Xiaomi Pen Gen 2. They're really similar, feel really similar, both are magnetic, both have pressure sensitivity. This one has the buttons, while this one has pressure sensitivity instead of buttons. So it's really similar, but the Xiaomi is definitely the cheaper one. It's lighter, but they're really similar, and overall both are great to use. So it's, once again, even the accessories are really similar. But with that being said, which one is the better pick? I would say that the Xiaomi is like 80% of the experience with the Apple iPad Pro, and if you're not a power user, that is even more evident. But if you're in the Apple ecosystem, it's hard to really tell you to not go with the Apple. It is definitely one of the best, if not the best tablets you can get. Well, the Xiaomi is definitely one of the best budget tablets you can get. So I would say it's really dependent on your ecosystem, your situation, and even how much you want to pay for a tablet. If you want a great performing tablet at not a huge cost, I'll go with the Xiaomi Pad 6. If you want to have the best of the best, well, the iPhone Pro is the one you should get. It's really cool how the Xiaomi is so much less in price, but it's really close to Apple iPad Pro. With that being said, that's gonna be the end of today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I hope you guys enjoyed this video once again, and I'll see you next time.